අවස්ථාවේ
President says he is not prepared to make any war hero a defendant.
මේ රටේ කිසිම රණවිරුවෙක් විත්තිකාරයෙක් කරන්න මම ලෑස්තිත් නැහැ. LTT ත්‍රස්තවාදී නොවන මාධ්‍යවේදී ක්‍රීඩකයින් වෙනත් විවිධ ශේෂ්ත්‍රවල මිනිමෙරුම් පහරදීම් එවැනි කාරණාවලට කාගේ හෝ සම්බන්ධයක් තිබෙනවා නම් ඒ අය රකින්න පුළුවන්කමක් නැහැ.
Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe says that all political parties have expressed their support for a political solution on power devolution within a unilateral state. An 877 million loss suffered by the state in land lease deal. Vimal Veeravansa transferred to the National Hospital from the Prisons Hospital.
අභියාචනාධිකරණයට අභියාචනයක් ගොනු කිරීම තමයි කර යුතු වන්නේ. එක එක අය විවිධ දේවල් කිරීම සම්බන්ධව අපට යමක් කිව නොහැකියි.
Sri Lanka Badminton Association dissolved. Competent authority to take over. We are coming to you live and direct from the Newsfirst studios here in Colombo with primetime news. A very good evening. I'm Mahina Bongzo.
A very good evening. I'm Zola Outschool. Let's now get into the stories in detail.
President Maithripala Sirisena, addressing an event held in Kurunegala, spoke on the armed forces of the country.
The newly erected three-story building of the Defence Services College in Kurunegala was declared open by President Maithripala Sirisena today. Awards and certificates were also presented to students of the Defence Services College who excelled in various sporting disciplines. I saw a former prominent member of the Navy going to Geneva and handing over a defendant statement. He should have been a defendant before he delivered such a statement. This is not right. I want to make my stance and the stance of the government very clear with regard to the charges levelled against the armed forces and the government on the alleged violations of human rights during the war. We will not allow war heroes to become defendants. A majority of the world leaders have personally assured me that they will not allow problems to arise with regard to freedom, democracy, the people's rights and our war heroes. They have promised to stand by this government. It is the responsibility and the duty of the government to protect the war heroes who fought for the motherland. There is no need to panic. There have been attacks on journalists and other groups. There are certain links that have been discovered to certain murders. Regardless of whether the suspects are citizens, state officials, members of the three armed forces or police, we will not work to protect them.
පොලිසියේ සේවය කරන අයද තවත් තැනක සේවය කරන අයද කියලා අපිට ඒ අය රකින්න පුළුවන්කමක් නැහැ.
Speaking in Maradana today, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe spoke of power devolution.
Everyone has admitted that we have to work within the confines of a unitary Sri Lanka. So how can we devolve power without dividing the country? We have to keep the provincial councils and its power in mind. Chief ministers of the North and the South have made proposals to make amendments on increasing its powers. No one is suggesting that the country is divided. We have considered all these matters and we have managed to agree on a few. Political parties may have various views. We cannot stop that. In fact, that is what is needed. It is the politically bankrupt who take on the path of racism and religious hatred. We do not need that. Today we all work together. We selected Maithripala Sirisena as the common candidate at the previous presidential election, setting aside all our political differences. The country develops as an economy and the society only if everyone comes together. So we do not want another war today. People do not have to die. We just want to develop as a country and its economy. We have to move forward.
An event to unveil a statue of Lord Buddha at the Suduwala Sri Abhaya Vihare in Maradana was held under the auspices of Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe today. The 33 feet tall statue is a replica of the Aukana statue of Lord Buddha.
Good evening, Mahina. Good evening, Joel. I'm going to interrupt the bulletin because I have a special expose here with me. As you know, News First has always been at the forefront of bringing you the news that matters and special reporting on corruption that is uncovered throughout the country. From the bond scam to the Volkswagen dealings, we have brought you the news that matters. Today we have a special expose right here for you concerning land with regard to a plot of land which is at the center of the heart of Colombo. A land lease deal which has caused the government to suffer a huge loss. Let's take a look.
This plot of land, which spans over 2 acres, has been handed over to a private company on a 50-year lease agreement, which was signed on the 16th of February this year. Issuing a letter to the chairman of the company in question, dated the 17th of November 2016, the chairman of the Urban Development Authority, or UDA, explains the concessions that have been granted by the Cabinet Committee on Economic Management. However, the decision by the CCEM to sign this lease agreement is wrong, because the company in question signed another lease for this plot of land in 2013 and over the course of 4 years proceeded to pay a sum of only 20% of the estimated value of the land. The estimated value of the land in 2013 was 2,785 million rupees, and the value paid by the company in question is only 557 million. A further 2,280 million should have been paid to the state with interest. However, bizarrely, the UDA has agreed to pay the company a sum of 330 million rupees as interest for the initial payment of 557 million. Incidentally, the lease agreement signed in February had taken into consideration the initial payment of 557 million as well as the interest of 330 million and reduced the values from the current estimated value of the land. According to current estimates, this plot of land is worth 3,620 million. However, the lease agreement with the company in question was signed for 2,733 million. Due to this agreement, the state has lost the opportunity to earn 887 million rupees through a state asset. Who gave the Cabinet Committee on Economic Management the right to take a decision which causes a massive loss to the state? Who gave them permission to grant such concessions to their confidants? Secretary to the President, this is over to you. The Chief Minister of the Western Province, Isura Devapriya, convening a press briefing, commented on provincial council elections.
As a government and as the SLFP, the President of this country is ready to hold the local government election before the end of this year. The tenures of the North Central, Eastern and Sabaragamu Provincial Council are coming to an end in September this year. The President stated that the elections of these 3 provincial councils cannot be delayed under any circumstances. There are no changes into the election of provincial councils. They will be held under the preferential voting system.
The Chief Minister also expressed views regarding a possible cabinet reshuffle.
When this surfaced, we saw that the UMP holding it back. However, it seems like their stance has changed. This is further provided by a statement made by Minister Kabir Hashim. He says he will have to learn to farm. There is a major voice now in the country that there should be a cabinet reshuffle. This is not something that is being said by the Chief Minister of the Western Province. This is something that is said by the people who created a change in this country.
Parliamentarian Vimal Veeravansa, who was admitted to the prison hospital after engaging in a fast, was transferred to the National Hospital today.
The transfer has been made as per the instructions of the physician attached to the prison hospital. A group of supporters of Parliamentarian Vimal Veeravansa had also arrived at the National Hospital at the time when the MP was brought there. MP Vimal Veeravansa, who was placed under remand custody for misusing government vehicles, commenced a fast on the 22nd of this month. He was admitted to the prison hospital on the 26th as a result of the ailments that arose after refusing to consume food. He has been admitted to the 45th ward of the National Hospital. He is in serious condition. He is not asking that he be granted bail. He is forcing the judiciary to take action targeting him. The acting director of the National Hospital, Dr. Cyril De Silva, stated that the parliamentarian is not in a serious condition. He added that the required medication has been provided.
Political activists expressed their views regarding the actions of parliamentarian Weerawansa today as well.
It
is true that we went and met with the President and the Prime Minister. We provided them with the facts. Do you remember? When there was revolution from within the UNP, President Mahinda Rajapaksa ordered the police to remove the troublemakers and ensure the democratic rights of the people. We have to say this respectfully. We were not born yesterday. We remember these things. Ranil can remember these as well.
When you do wrong things, you are imprisoned. You cannot get away by engaging in a fast. If that was the case, we all could have engaged in fast. I would not have stayed for 3 months at the magazine prison. Maulana was there. Vasudeva was there. We could have all got together and engaged in a fast and got out. You cannot do that.
Vimal is engaging in a fast without consuming any food. Today is the 7th day. This is not asking for bail. What Vimal is trying to highlight is the imbalance when enacting the law. We have to respect and honor John Amaratunga. He is honest. He did not at any point hide the objectives of his party and the government.
What I have to say is, stay like I stayed even without drinking a drop of water. Why would you drink water? Why is Vimal drinking water? Is it to live? He is trying to put on an illusion. There were several allegations against him when the government came into power. There was a Viagra issue against him as well. I do not know whether he is trying to commit suicide, not being able to take in all of this.
We are of the opinion that the court should not examine the link between him getting bail and the fast that he is engaged in. If that is the case, a number of people who are in the prison will engage in fasts. What will happen to the law in the country? He must understand that Rajapaksa does not have the same affection he has for them.
As per a bail revise application that was produced, the High Court judge had looked into the bail application and rejected bail, saying there had not been enough facts to change the order that was initially given to reject bail. The next step is to file an appeal at the appeals court. We cannot say anything about various other steps. They are taken without adhering to those steps. Views were expressed on the current economic situation in the country during a media briefing organized today.
$2 billion in investments have left the country within 2016. What does this mean? It shows that foreign investments are leaving the country. Foreign investments are not coming in. Steps should be taken against individuals involved in scams like the bond scam. We should re-establish a feeling of assurance that the government takes action against corruption. Because the government has failed to take such steps, the foreign investors have lost confidence. They said the country would receive great economic benefits. They said we would receive GSP plus concessions. Have we got them yet? Due to the ignorance of some people, they make statements that there are economic benefits on the horizon. However, due to the lack of such benefits, Sri Lanka is heading towards a grave economic crisis.
The joint opposition must have suffered memory loss because they were in the government when steps were taken which led to the loss of the GSP plus concessions. Today, when the government is attempting to regain these concessions, they have no moral right to criticize the delays in the process. The country has lost billions over the past 10 years due to the lack of the GSP plus concessions. We will receive GSP plus in the near future. The joint gang is simply attempting to find a lifeline to survive on.
Here are some of the views expressed on the Hambantota port.
Is this economic committee a brokerage entity? There are ethics when engaging in a sale. There are matters like the views and suggestions of the subject minister, cabinet decisions as well as parliamentary opinions. This economic committee, acting as a brokerage entity, is not about to sell off their private property. They are preparing to sell off national resources. If this agreement is inked, it must be tabled in parliament. If this is not produced to the monitoring committee on ports, what is the meaning of the strong parliament mentioned by Ranil Wickremesinghe? Parliament must decide upon the Hambantota report. We are of the stance we must not let any decision on Hambantota be made until it is debated in Parliament. The UMP says that the unofficial agreement on the port has been approved by Cabinet. The SLFP says that it is not so. The subject minister and the deputy minister say something different. There is a working committee in Parliament and we responsibly say that not even a copy of this agreement has been produced to the committee. This decision has been taken without any deliberation on the matter. We as members of the committee can take a decision on that.
Addressing a breakfast meeting organized by the Malaysia-Sri Lanka Business Council this morning, Minister of Public Enterprise Development, Kabir Hashim, shared these views.
There are issues. There are debates whether giving part of the state enterprises to the private sector has negative impacts as well. Yes, of course, because the argument that privatization does not translate into totally improved efficiencies are also there, because there are some cases where privatization has failed. There are some cases there are utilities and services which have to be protected by the state, which has to be provided by the state for the betterment of the society and people, where you cannot totally allow the private sector to get involved and control it. So there has to be some kind of state play in all this. How much can we assume that the private sector will act in the best interest of the public? In that sense, that we need to be able to do some kind of assessment. That is why we believe that it's not privatization that is the answer, but it is public-private partnership. That partnership is important between the two. That's the new model, that's the new way to go. And that's what the new government believes in too.
Minister of Foreign Affairs Mangala Samaraweera slammed former President Mahinda Rajapaksa's extravagant foreign visits by drawing a comparison to the modest spending of President Maithripala Sirisena's administration.
There were 25 members in the delegation that went to the Geneva UNHRC session in March 2014. They hired 14 vehicles and have spent 63 million rupees for just 3 days. In 2012, a 35-member delegation had gone spending 76 million rupees. They had hired 35 vehicles for just 3 or 4 days. People of this country should at least now understand patriotism of the Rajapaksas. With the Right to Information Act, you can get any information. Accounts of this trip is not finalized yet, but we have spent only 5.5 million rupees on our recent visit to Geneva and back, during which we were able to secure the support of a large number of countries, including the main ones. Commenting on the recent visit to Moscow, Minister Samaraweera said President Maithripala Sirisena chose to travel on a regular flight from Colombo, transiting via Dubai, compared to his predecessor Mahinda Rajapaksa chartering a Sri Lankan aircraft, spending a colossal 38 million rupees just for the plane. Samaraweera also remarked on the former president's visits to Ukraine and St. Petersburg, Russia. They went to Russia spending 49 million rupees. They went to St. Petersburg, Russia a second time, but I haven't got the expenditure for that as yet. For travel alone, they spent this much. According to Foreign Ministry records, 69 people have gone in one of these delegations. The crew for the plane, which was retained for 4 days, included 19. So altogether, there had been 88 in the delegation.
It is day 24 of the Presidential Commission of Inquiry. Newsfirst, Zulfiq Farzan reports.
It was revealed before the Commission today that the members of the tender board, including current Deputy Governor P. Samarasiri, have been removed from the board with effect from the 20th of March 2017 until the proceedings of the Presidential Commission are over and it will be restructured with new members. It was stressed that the decision was taken into consideration on the 6th of March 2017 before the sitting of the Commission commenced. It was disclosed that bids to the tune of 36 billion rupees placed by perpetual treasuries was accepted at the auction dated 29th March 2016 and intraday liquidity facility was provided to the primary dealer. The primary dealer was subject to penalties as it defaulted on payments. The witness revealed that he lost his temper when the Governor Mahendran resorted to large-scale transfers. He said that high-level transfers were always a consultative process, and Arjuna Mahendran has not followed such process. After the amendment was made to temporarily suspend private placements, former Governor Mahendran made a request to reintroduce private placements. However, the Mantri board had ruled to consider the request later, and it never happened. With regard to the auction on the 27th of February 2015, counsel representing the former governor stated that market would have been aware that the government required more than 1 billion rupees, the amount already announced in a press release, because primary dealers following the market trends could deduce the government required more funding. The council also brought to light that public debt department dealers build close relationships with primary dealers. It was revealed that Entrust Securities plc had borrowed money from the Central Bank of Sri Lanka without any securities as collateral. Entrust Securities had engaged in repurchase agreement transactions with no underlying security. During the proceedings, it came to light that Arjuna Mahendran had varied or made other recommendations in relation to 4 separate auctions from May to October 2015. In relation to the tender board meeting on the 27th of February 2015, the witness said that none of the board members had raised objections or concerns about the decision made by the then Governor Mahendran to accept 10 billion from that auction. There was tension at the Presidential Commission of Inquiry today when the state raised questions regarding the tender board meeting that took place on the 27th of February 2015. Tensions arose when the state questioned the witness, and then opposing views were expressed by the other attorneys representing other parties. From the Presidential Commission of Inquiry, I'm Zulfiq Farzan for News First.
Thank you, Zulfiq, for that report. In more local news, the representatives of the development committees in the Batticaloa district have decided to inform the President once again on the ongoing construction activities of the alcohol distillery, not heeding to the protest of the people and without any approval.
On a number of occasions, Newsfirst showed how an alcohol distillery owned by the W.M. Mendes company is being constructed on a 19-acre plot of land in Kalkuda, Batticaloa. According to the official website of W.M. Mendes company, the chairman of the company is Arjun Joseph Aloysius. He is also the owner of Perpetual Treasuries, which is implicated in the controversial bond scam of the central bank. Newsfirst was able to reveal that a portion of a stock of paddy that had been stored at the Mattala International Airport was also given to the same company, W.M. Mendes & Co. It has come to a stage where certain people in the UNP are getting licenses to manufacture alcohol. We know who Arjun Aloysius is. They had provided tax concessions for him to put up an alcohol distillery. In addition, they have also given 4,000 metric tons of paddy for them to manufacture it. This is a sad situation. There can't be such things happening under the concept of good governance. Not only when it comes to alcohol, this government has changed tax policies to provide concessions to their friends and confidants. This is happening in the alcohol matter as well. Instead of a policy where income of the government is increased while thinking about the people, this government is carrying out a policy to provide security to the racketeers. The regulations to increase their income is now the regulations that they follow. How are the people who are involved in these corrupt activities, which even went into the international arena, carrying these things out without any shame or fear? The farmers of our country are harvesting paddy not to manufacture alcohol, but to put rice on the people's plates. These thieves are going to start a newspaper now. We state very clearly that they are using the strength of the Prime Minister to do all of this.
Yesterday, News First highlighted the government's chaotic handling of Sri Lanka's taxation system with regards to the corporate income tax. Today we look at economic service charges, or ESC, imposed on Sri Lankan businesses.
The 2016-17 budget proposes an increase in the ESC from 0.25% to 0.5%. Notice issued on the 8th of April 2016 by the Indian Revenue Department confirms this rate as 0.5%. The Economic Service Charge Amendment Bill is issued on the 24th of March 2017, confirming the rate as 0.5%, but it is still in draft form. With regards to the corporate income tax, in his budget speech, Finance Minister Ravi Karunanayake proposed a whopping 13% reduction in the rate of corporate income tax applicable from 28% to 15%. Circular issued on the 28th of March 2016 by the Inland Revenue Department says corporate income chargeable is 17.5%. Notice issued on the 1st of April 2016 by the Inland Revenue Department temporarily withdrawing the earlier circular. Notice issued on the 8th of April 2016 by the Inland Revenue Department revising the applicable rate once again to 17.5%. To date, no statute has been enacted to reflect the multiple changes made to the rate of corporate tax.
Now, state officials are unable to provide clarification as no clear, consistent policy of taxation exists. Why is the Ministry of Finance keeping mum about the rate of corporate income tax applicable for the financial year ending this Friday?
The van suspected to have been used in the abduction of journalist Keith Noor has been taken into custody by the Criminal Investigations Department. According to the police headquarters, the van is suspected to have been used to commit several crimes, including the murder of journalist Lasantha Wickramatunge. The van, which was in the possession of a woman in the Piliyandala area, was seized by the Criminal Investigations Department. Police investigations have revealed that the woman is an acquaintance of an Army Major General who is under arrest for the abduction of journalist Keith Noor. 5 persons, including a member of the Army Intelligence Unit and an Army Major General, have been remanded in connection to the abduction and assault of Nation newspaper journalist Keith Noor on the 22nd of May 2008.
The International Leadership Conference organised by the Women in Management was held in Colombo yesterday. Deputy Minister Eran Wickramaratne was among the distinguished gathering at the event.
I remember my first day in the Sri Lankan Parliament, being the total outsider into politics without having any family advantage to be in a political seat. I looked around in Parliament and I counted for myself from the history I knew that there were at least 42 families that were actually seated. Now for those of you who come from South Asia, I'm sure that's not unusual because South Asian politics is riddled with it. It's a father and a son, or if it's the husband's missing, it's a wife, or it's a daughter, uncle, auntie, or somebody else. And therefore, the culture that I was talking to you about perpetuates itself over time. And the challenge that we have is actually to change it, to open the system so that more people from different walks of life could actually come in, because change is not possible unless the system is open and change agents can actually come in. And this is where Sri Lanka lags, even in the South Asian table. Even though our South Asian neighbors look at us and say our women are ahead in many things. In political participation, I'm shy to say that we lag the rest of South Asia.
The event, held under the theme Thinking Out of the Gender Box, was graced by a number of leading business women as well as the Maldivian High Commissioner to Sri Lanka.
Further demographic shift, especially in a market like Sri Lanka where we have an aging demographic. So the number of people in our productive labor force are going down. If at the same time we cannot make women sort of step up and take on more of these roles, our businesses are going to be squeezed, which means the growth the country sees is going to be squeezed. And the development objectives that we have for us to move ahead as a middle income country are not going to be achievable.
Minister Sajith Premadasa echoed the need for a fund for member states of the Bay of Bengal Initiative for Multi-Sectoral Technical and Economic Cooperation, or BIMSTEC. Now, the minister was speaking at the Global Business Summit 2017 in New Delhi, India.
Minister Premadasa says the collective GDP of member states of the Bay of Bengal Initiative for Multi-Sectoral Technical and Economic Cooperation is $2.7 trillion. He pointed out that despite various financial setbacks, members have achieved a 6.5% economic growth in the past 5 years. He says that a fund must be established for the collective, taking into account empowering citizens, eradicating poverty, as well as empowering women and youth. The minister notes that Sri Lanka has prepared a strong foundation with other nations to find solutions for unemployment as well as issues in housing, education and health in the next decade.
In an exclusive interview with Newsfirst, former President of the Republic of Maldives, Mohammed Nasheed, expressed views of what he hopes to achieve for his country if he receives the mandate again.
You were arrested on terrorism charges. You were at one point dragged on the streets. Who's to say that from your point of view, revenge is not in the menu?
Well, you see, revenge hasn't given us anything. If we go on thinking about the past and try to dig up the past, I don't think that we would be able to have a bright future.
There are a number of corrupt activities, number of allegations against the current president of the country. Does this mean that you're going to leave all that aside as well?
No, I'm sure we must, rule of law must be adhered to, and we must govern only through rule of law. And if the law requires you to be investigated, if the law requires you to be charged, and if the law requires a sentence, that certainly would happen. But we should not have political motivation into it. And I don't think it is the function of politicians to talk about what the law might do and what the law would finally come out with a pronunciation. In my view, it's not the politician's job to do that.
There was an assassination attempt on the president of the country, and the vice president was implicated, and there is a Sri Lankan national also implicated in the whole incident that transpired. Do you think that the president was actually, there was an attempt on his life?
Not for 1 second. I do not believe that at all. There is no evidence to suggest this. No investigation has come out with this view. And there's never been, now how many, it's been almost 1 year. The poor boy is still there, languishing in our jails, with no trial, with nothing. Yes. So there's no evidence whatsoever on this. And it's very unfortunate that this is happening. I feel for the family of the boy who is in jail. And we would hopefully, as soon as there is some changes in the Maldives, try to rectify the situation. It's very, very sad.
Minister of Ports and Shipping Arjuna Ranatunga attended the Sutton political program this evening, Yard on Sirius TV, where he expressed the following.
The airport and ports are directly linked to national security. When such things are sold to foreign entities, doesn't it affect our security? You are about to sell the hump of the report.
I stated directly both in the Cabinet and the Economic Committee that we cannot at any cost include things that could affect national security. There were various proposals which had to be thrown out. The current proposals are good, but we are not done yet.
Well, a more in-depth report on this matter will be aired on the 10 p.m. primetime news bulletin on Sirius TV. And moving on to sports news now, Sports Minister Dasari Jayasekara, addressing a media briefing today, announced a decision on the fate of the Sri Lanka Badminton Association, or the SLBA.
We had issued instructions to resolve all these issues, including audit issues, by the 31st of May. The Badminton Association had not handed in their financial statements to the Auditor General's Department for the past 8 years. Therefore, under the powers vested in me through Act No. 25 of 1973, I have decided to hand over control of badminton to a competent authority, based on the conclusion that the SLBA is now a defunct association. We will hold discussions with the Auditor General and find out the earliest date on which we can get the audit reports for the 8 years. Thereafter, we will hold the election. Following the decision made by the Minister, the recent election of office bearers of the SLBA has now become null and void. Suraj Damdenia functioned as the chairman of the SLBA, while retired Wing Commander Amal Dias was the secretary of the association. Ruan Garlage was the treasurer of the SLBA. When contacted, Suraj Damdenia told Sports First that he was not aware of the minister's decision. Various allegations were levelled at Suraj Damdenia during his tenure as the director of the country office set up for the 2011 Cricket World Cup, which was co-hosted by Sri Lanka. The allegations included those relating to forging tickets. During the tenure of Mahindananda Alutgamage as Sports Minister, Damdenia joined the Badminton Administration and served for 4 years as the chairman of the SLBA.
Well, Shotland Niluka Karunaratne has been nominated for the most popular sports personality of the year at the Sports First Platinum Awards. Now, the award ceremony will be held on the 31st of March at the Stein Studios in Ratmalana. That's a wrap of this edition of Primetime News. I'm Joel Outsgoon.
And I'm Mahina Bongzo. Take care and good night.
Good night.